So, we'll use today as an opportunity to connect it to something in the real world that's happening, which is the Hurricane Dorian, or tropical storm Dorian, I guess Hurricane Dorian, to which probably in the room who went around and said, what are our thoughts about this experience? We have different perspectives on it. There'd be a consensus around some things, and there'd be different perspectives on other things, which is a reminder of what? What is it a reminder of in terms of the mindfulness exploration about the things around us and our relationship to them?
Static? That's not the right word for it. Isn't it being frazzled?
Okay, and what's the relationship between what's going on around us? So if there's, in this case, the threat of a hurricane and an uncertainty around exactly how it will play out, and some of us say, well, I feel this way about it, and some of us say, well, I feel this way about it, and some of us say, I feel this way about it, and there's a shared consensus in some respects about maybe something, but then it's very different in other respects. What does that say about what we're talking about in terms of awareness, attention, reaction?
It's this external thing that can grab the collective attention.
So there's an external thing, an object. We could call that the object of attention. Certainly you turn on the TV, you listen to the radio, and things like that, it's there. So you can't, if you wanted to avoid it, it would be challenging to, and you probably don't want to avoid it, so you want to learn about it. So it's an object of attention that can grab our attention. Good. What else would you say? Just, in fact, drawing on any of the pieces. In fact, let's go back to you, David. So say a little bit more about what you meant by frazzled. So we'll have it where it doesn't jump to the answer I have in my mind. It'll be things that it comes to you regarding the things we've been exploring and the practices we've been doing. So you want to say a little bit more?
Sure. When there's a looming unknown threat, it kind of creeps its way into every other aspect of thought.
For you?
For me, yes.
Okay. But not necessarily for everybody in the same way, correct?
Sure.
Okay. And for some people, whatever you would probably regard as the creeping its way in, for some, it would creep in even more. And for others, less. And others in different sorts of ways. So yes, do we have a shared sense that it creeps in to our experience? Yes, it creeps in. Okay. And that's important to know, because if you were unaware, if you were just working away on something for 3 days and you were unaware, right? Your attention would not be on it because it wouldn't be an object that you would even know about. In that case, it's good to stay aware for reasons like this, to know what's going on. And you would have a different experience because you were not aware, because it didn't even have a chance to creep in. And then the mindfulness piece is, and how do we relate to the experience of something out there or in here, and the way it creeps in, and even when it creeps in, the way it affects us, because things will creep in all the time. Your point's very well done, well said. Dan Goleman, who we read about last week with his book Focus, in the chapter on focus, and his work on emotional intelligence, talks about being frazzled, and gets into the neuroscience about frazzle. He even talked about it a little bit last week in the article. What else would you say from your experience, from the class thus far, about something like this?
Even if we are aware of the hurricane, it reminds me of the poem and what we were dealing with certainty. There's an uncertainty to this hurricane, so even if we know that this hurricane is here, we don't know where it's going to hit until like tomorrow or Sunday morning, so then there's something that we have to keep our focus on and
That's right.
find out where to go.
That's right. That's right. And that article, that poem from Sherna, coincidentally, was timely in that regard as well. And the uncertainty/certainty, because you also might have it where you feel certain about certain things. You might say, I know this is going to happen in this way. And of course, if you know something's going to happen in a certain way and you believe that to be true, it will most undoubtedly, and for probably good reason, affect you, to mobilize you in that direction. And you might be quite wrong, or partially wrong. So certainty tends to not be a place that's useful in an absolute sense. Uncertainty tends not to be useful in an absolute sense, but where we orient ourselves is very important. And we have more control than we think, perhaps, over where we orient ourselves and how to relate to the uncertainty. To not be foolish, but not to not be foolish on either side of the equation. Okay, very nice. What else? What other things come to you? There's no wrong answers. We'll take whatever answer you come with, and we'll weave it together. And the idea again is when Paul Singerman comes, he'll talk about how knowledge is based on data, and to get data, you pay attention, you observe, and if you're not paying attention or if you're not gathering the data, you don't have as much knowledge, and then the decision-making and or the ways that we go about things will be somewhat skewed. So when he comes, we'll talk about it. He says, so you got to pay attention. You got to be attentive. And you're talking about the hurricane being the object of attention that draws our attention, whether we want to or not, right? Sometimes we want to say, enough, like I have the data. And we watch the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's just minutes apart as if something drastic is going to change. But there's something in our nature that wants to know, because we want to be what? We want to be prepared. And we want to be prepared because we want to be safe. Right? And we want that for other people as well. And then we may have it where we're not as concerned, for better or for worse. I have no idea, so I can't speak to what's going to happen. But somebody else is very concerned, or not at all concerned, or less concerned. And how do we interact with others, given that interpersonal dynamic? So what else comes to mind? Yeah.
Well, I think exactly what you're hitting on, the level of uncertainty with the storm, like there's just a range of emotions. Like I personally follow the data, I hear the meteorologist talk, I say, oh, it's like, okay, Miami now, we only have 2 inches of rain, but I have a friend who says, we're definitely getting more rain than that. Like the wind is definitely going to be worse than that. And it just he's obsessed with hurricanes. So it's just the range of emotions is just very interesting, and you just don't know what to believe until it's here, I guess. You need to be aware of everything.
So we want to do our best to come up to size it up as best we can, which involves seeing clearly what's taking place as best we can. Even when we become frazzled, which can get in the way sometimes, but it could also be good warning flags. So it's hard to know. We want to try to catch, and that's part of what we're exploring. One of the terms that'll pop up, it's begun to pop up, it might pop up in the readings this week, and we'll certainly be referring to it a lot, is the difference between reaction, which for the sake of being clear, there's reaction time, and reaction can have a very solidly, yes, I want to overreaction. So the overreaction and the response. And again, it's hard to know what the answer is. It's hard to know if 2 inches of rain is the response. That's a wise response. Or if it's going to just keep, which one's the overreaction, which one's the response. And like you said, Michael, we don't always know until we know.
Right.
And by that time, it does, it would be nice to have some capacity beforehand to be wise and compassionate, right? So we're interested in exploring that.